So what have you been doing to prepare for Miss America since you were crowned Miss Connecticut several months ago?
Yes. I had a lot of people looking up to me in a different way for the first time in a long time. It wasn't just Miss Connecticut, it was Miss Connecticut, but the first Latina representative in a long time, but also the only Puerto Rican on stage. I felt like there was a lot of factors to consider. So leading up to Miss America, I just thought, what are all the different ways am I expected to show up, and what ways do I want to show up for Connecticut when I go to Miss America? So I took that into deep consideration between all parts of my preparation just to make sure that I did just that.
Well, let's talk about being a Latina competing this year. The Latina community has much higher profile than when you first started competing. Do you think
It
that's a
is.
benefit, or actually it is a drawback that all of a sudden you're no longer flying under the radar, everybody's focusing on you?
I don't feel like everybody is focusing on me. I kind of feel like, just being the first in 21 years already was a milestone. It was already an accomplishment. It was already something that made me feel like, wow, this is a moment. And I feel like whenever I mention it, people are very proud, usually very excited for me, and they do their congratulations. And I feel like for a very long time, Latina women have been underrepresented, or I feel like anytime I've ever seen a Latina in the media, it's always been the maid or the crazy girlfriend or the really, really mad mom, especially in movies or in television. And it just didn't give me an idea, like, why can't we find them in peaceful situations and successful situations? Or even Jennifer Lopez being somebody that I really looked up to growing up. In a lot of her movies, she doesn't play Latina. And that is not to her fault. It's, Hollywood, and we're just kind of growing outside of that stereotype of being one type of person. So I'm glad that I'm the only one. I wish there were more, but I'm glad that that is actually breaking a lot of different barriers for other women to be able to participate in the future, so we can kind of break that stereotype and show them that we're a lot more.
Now, talk to me a little bit about your platform, which is
Mhm.
about domestic violence. I mean, that's a really sensitive topic
It
for
is.
people who are outside of it, for you to talk about it, I mean, how difficult has it been you to convey a story and convey the importance of the issue?
So that actually ties in with my preparation for Miss America. I ended up really going back to my subject at hand and figuring out, how am I going to take this topic that clearly affects everybody at all ages. It doesn't discriminate. Domestic violence actually hits a very large population of people. There is no demographic that it doesn't. But I want to know, how can I take this very dark and serious message and kind of just interpret it in a way that people can comprehend it as, this is something we can work on actively without it being a taboo or sensitive topic. Well, I'm not putting a focus on actually just domestic violence alone. I found that the core problem was not domestic violence, but the actual repetition and cycle of violence in our family structures. So that is actually fixed if you look back at the parts of it that actually need to be catered to, which is going to therapy, talking to your loved ones, advocating for mental health, being okay with other people talking about their mental health, opening up those conversations. So putting an emphasis on community and compassion for other people, and a lot of love and support for your loved ones ended up being more of the topic at hand than domestic violence itself. I don't feel like domestic violence is always the first step. It's always the signs that everybody misses in the beginning. So if you teach them all of the tools that they need to be able to catch that beforehand, we don't reach domestic violence until it gets out of hand. So I'm not talking about the aftermath. I'm talking about what can we do to actually prevent that. And that has been a really cool part of my job as Miss Connecticut.
Now, for people thinking about going to Miss America, I'm sure you've been to the past two that were here.
I have. That was really cool.
I mean, just from the point of view of somebody outside watching, as an audience member, what did you find enjoyable about being at Miss America?
I had never been in Miss America before I came to Connecticut. I knew that it was in our neighboring state of New Jersey, but I don't know, it's just the idea that it traveled to someplace new and it got people excited, like, oh, Miss America's here? Like, yeah, it's in Connecticut, and that was a really cool thing. So I thought I was gonna take up the opportunity. It was here. There was no reason for me to watch it from my couch at home, but something I loved about it when it was here was how many people were excited that it came to them. Because for the most part, it's been in Atlantic City, where our traditional roots of Miss America have started, or in Vegas, and a lot of people weren't anticipating it to actually be here. If Miss America decides in the future that want to travel to different states, I feel like a lot more, there'd be a lot more public attention on it because Miss America came to their home. It wasn't this far off thing that they would never see unless it was on TV. She was right there, and I thought that was really special.
I mean, one of the dimensions of Miss America is the talent portion. I mean, what did you find watching these women perform their talents? Entertaining.
What did I find about them
Yeah.
entertaining? I love that a lot of women were bringing non-traditional talents to the competition. And in saying that, I have never been able to afford the coaching or the exercises that you would need to be able to get to that high caliber of talent. And I thought it was so cool to see all of the different ways that people were taking the resources that they needed to be able to perform and just going outside of the box with it. So it wasn't just opera anymore. It wasn't just a pianist or a classical violinist or a traditional dancer in point. It was, kickboxing or, going outside the box with paint, speed painting. I thought that was really special. And we're going to see a lot more of that this year at Miss America. So I'm excited.
Now, at the end of the night, however the card may fall, I mean, what do you want to be able to tell yourself about your performance? What takeaway do you want to get as far as grading yourself?
I just wanted to be happy. I just wanted to be happy and proud of what I brought to the table. I mean, like I mentioned earlier, there's a lot that I'm going into Miss America with that is beside going to Miss America as Miss Connecticut. I'm the first Puerto Rican in 21 years. I'll be the only Puerto Rican on the stage when I get there. Like, that alone is really big for our community, but also really big for me and my family, because we never thought that we would see someone that looked like me on stage. And now I am the one that looks like me on stage because it's me. And I feel like that self-accomplishment is a lot more powerful, and the whole point of the organization to empower you to get to that point anyway. I certainly did not have the best talent at my state competition, and I know that without a doubt in my mind. There are far more talented people and other women that could do my job too, but you're in your moment for a reason. And I think that when I get there, I just want to take away from my performances at the end of the night that I showed up as 100% authentically me, and be really proud that I've made it this far. There's been a lot of roadblocks that could have stopped it. So even just advocating my message, my impact on that stage it's a winning thing for me. It's not about Miss America. It's about what it brought me to be able to be with or without them. And I'm really excited about that.